Greetings everyone, what a juicy day in the market. Let's get right into it and discuss what's going on here. Obviously going to talk about a few different things here, but obviously I will talk about Palantir, BigBear. People get mad when I don't talk about these stocks on a daily basis. It's just inundated with comments, but let's get into it here. So obviously I want to have a top conversation. What does this look like next year for Palantir and BigBear? Obviously Palantir is just this proven, well-oiled machine that you either are just going along with it and just ignoring all the loud noise that's with it, with all the bears screaming at you like, you better sell off, you better sell. Every time this company comes out with a super duper quarterly here, there's just this loud noise in the background like, this is it, this you sell out. You need to get out of here. It's overpriced. It's over. Like I've heard this so many times. I know it's overpriced. We all know it's overpriced. It's not like we alone, just a few of us here, are saying that this is okay for this to happen. I know it's overpriced. You're having to pay to play with this situation. But I am in this reality here right now too that Palantir can just keep going. Who's to say it's not? We've seen crazy take place in the market plenty times before. It could happen. Now, looking over here, BigBear, and I look at BigBear and I go like, it's been a super duper year. And if they can continue this momentum into next year, man, this is going to be it. This is what we're going to want. I got to be honest with you. When I started to get into BigBear at the end of last year, I could have never imagined that they would have really transformed this company into what they have now. Now, obviously, the icing on top of the cake right now that we need to settle this thing here is for them to start hitting quarterlies. That will be like, okay, that would be such a weight off of all of our shoulders. So we'll talk about those two things. Where they're going, what is Palantir? When is it going to $200? Is it going to sell down? Is it going to go more than $200? What are we looking at here? So, friends, glad you were here. Let's get into it, and I hope everyone is doing well. I really do mean that. First things first, look at this. Robinhood just released quarterlies, 1.17 bill. Whoa, that is a big jump. There's a reason, and I am proven wrong. This was my conversation with this company. I was, and I love Robinhood, so I'm not trying to, jab at it here. I'm saying this out of love. Like, I was really worried that like they were not going to come out with a big quarterly, because I was like, if they do not come out with something good here, this is going to be a huge issue for what holding this stock position, the price wise where it's at. So that is fantastic that company has released a huge quarterly. I'm going to talk about that on the second channel in the morning, but yeah, just congratulations, people stuck it out with that is awesome. And a lot of that came from their crypto. I'll explain it, but don't want to take up time talking about that right now. And I want to put this out there. A lot of people ask me like, what are your most anticipated stocks going into next year? And this is kind of it. So the green are stocks that like I'm super confident that are just going to completely take over in 2026, that are just going to be amazing stocks. I think Tesla is on the verge of doing crazy numbers still. I think we're looking at another stock split late next year. I think AMD is just getting things rolling here into the third dimension of wherever this thing is going here. Palantir, we'll talk about it. Obviously, SoFi is just about, I think SoFi is about to look a lot like Robinhood. And Robinhood here, Hood has proven that, hey, this is the real deal. This is happening. And then you have BigBear. I think BigBear, obviously, this is in yellows things. I'm not so, it's not solid concrete that this is going to continue to work, but I am very hopeful for it. These things. BigBear, yes, I am very hopeful that BigBear is going to be able to pull off a lot more here going 2026. It's been a phenomenal year for them, so obviously going to talk about that. Applied Digital, they're killing it. They're killing it. My only concern is that they just continue to do that. There's a lot of competition out there right now with data centers, but data centers, networks, whatever you want to say here, but Applied Digital has found a position and they are doing very well. That is one of the best stocks I've ever called in my personal life. So that's amazing right there. Rich Tech is not getting some love right now, but I still believe that robotics are coming. I listened to that. I'm going to probably take heat for this, whatever, but when Elon Musk talk, when he talks, interview, whatever interview, whoever he's on, I will listen to it. I listened to the recent one with him and Rogan, and because I wanted to see what Elon was going to talk about. He mentioned two things in that interview that really, he mentioned a lot of things, but two things that really stuck out to me were he talked about robotics, how he talked about, people do not understand what is coming with robotics, and he said the broad view of robotics. So I really do think there's going to be a robotic stock market here either this coming year or somewhere in there, and a lot of robotic stocks are going to do stupid numbers just off hype, just off FOMO. So that's why I continue to look at rich tech here, and I still believe that rich tech has momentum to do wild numbers here. I really do believe that. But two, in that, Elon started talking about this new car that they were gonna unveil this year, before the end of this year, and something he was mentioning that it flies or something. It does something very insane. Is the easiest thing to say here. Very cool. So that's a whole nother reason why I think Tesla stock is just unmatched with the robotics, with robotaxi, the cars, everything, innovation. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And, I think there could be two more stock splits with Tesla just in the next 10 years alone, somewhere in there. Obviously, they're back to back with two already here in the last 4 years. I still think there could be two more in the next less than 10 years. I mean, starting now. I mean, that's how. If they pull this off in the next 2-3 years, this stock is going to go crazy. I mean, it's going to be crazy. So those are kind of, I have more that I'm into, and there's some ETFs that I'm really into, but that's that list right there. So just for anyone wondering, I get that comment all the time, like, what are you focusing on? Those are like my cherry picked stocks that I am really watching heavily in the next year. So talking about Big Bear here, like I said, Big Bear, this has been no matter whatever comes out of this quarterly here, the main thing that I am wanting to see is, where is Big Bear financially? That is what I'm wanting to see here. They're going to be coming out with earnings here on Monday, and I really want to know where they're at. Good or bad, we need to know. Now, obviously, I can't imagine these quarterlies are going to be as rough as Q2. Q2 was pretty rough, and somewhere in there, there's and this is my one negative comment I have to say about Big Bear. This is this is kind of a weird comment, but it really, this is where I get very picky. I wish that Big Bear had a CEO, Kevin, if you're listening, that was more just open to talk about the company and what's going on. Now, obviously, there's guidelines, there's things that they can say, cannot say, but, I think a lot of us, when we've heard Kevin talk or things like that, he is very military. He's very just like stern. He's not an Alex Karp. He's not one of these CEOs who's just very charismatic. That's okay. But I would love to see, more of like, what is Big Bear looking at into the future? Where is Big Bear mentally? What is the company really focusing? Are they really focusing more on these airline deals? There's a lot of this right now that us, the investor, are just having to guess. And, I think it's pretty obvious, yes, that it's safe to say, we can all be in agreement with this at least, that Big Bear fundamentally has become very aggressive this year with defense stocks. These airline stocks are really ticking up here lately. They've been going on all year and of last year, but really this year too, they've really been ticking up here, and that's great. That's great. So with that, when that Q2 came out there, I really do think that there's something that was missing right there. There was something that was missing that wasn't right. Now, too, we can take this conversation even further because, with Big Bear's restructuring here, and if you don't know, there's been a huge restructure from like the top line down of Big Bear since Kevin here, who's been with Big Bear, but now has taken over CEO. Like everyone has been kind of gutted or moved in this company since then, and even financial people as of late. There's just some things that I wish they would explain more, and it sucks because there's just not a lot of news with what's going on in the workings of the company and like what's happening here. Now, those are just personal things that I like. I think companies, I've seen this time and time again, and if more time you spend in this market, you will notice this trend. When there's a CEO that is open and willing to talk to, just people, Jim Cramer, for God's sakes, anyone, just be open and talk about your company, where you're going. If things aren't going that well, that's okay. Be excited. Obviously, I think we all know that Big Bear's wanting to make more money. Big Bear's wanting to do better as a company. I don't think there's anyone there like, man, I hope we keep missing quarterlies. I don't think anyone there is saying that. So, I would love to see them. And obviously when I say them, I mean Kevin, their CEO, that he would come out and, be more productive in talking to investors, talking to the masses that are, having doubts about them. But, and this is a great time for that to happen because they've had a spectacular year. I mean, amazing year. I mean, look at what this company has done this year. So with this next quarterly, this is really going to tell us like how aggressive have these quarterlies changed here, from good to bad. Even if they just missed, it would still be like, okay, well, we're going up in the right direction. This will probably at least hold a $5 to $6 position once, the dust settles and, the people that are mad come back, they start to buy back in. So I think there's that. I think there's that at least. So, when I look at this, I wish I could tell you what I think. I wish I could tell you what's going to happen Monday. I just don't really know. And one reason that we're not seeing the mass buy back in right now is because, well, the whole market's down. The whole market is taking, a seat right now. Now, there's still 2 days left in the market, and the market has been at all-time highs, and we've still got a lot of analysts. We've got Tom Lee, everyone saying, yeah, we believe the market's going to do really good. Even Tom Lee came out here at the beginning of the week, and he said, I am fully expecting the last 2 weeks of November to do very well in the market. That is what he is saying. He thinks that the last 2 weeks here in November are going to be hot weeks in the market. Now, is that true? I am not going to doubt Tom Lee. I mean, if you've been following the Tom Lee mindset, you've done pretty well in the market this year. This guy has, I don't know if he has a time machine or what, but he has pretty much called the market this year for the bad and the good. So, I'm still sticking with him 100%. With that too, why that's important, because, when the overall market does well, the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ, everything does well, from small to, from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top, everything will have movement in the stock market, no doubt about it. So, this is the last quarterly for this year, but obviously Q4 will come out here at the beginning of next year, but this will be the last one getting us into next year, at the beginning of next year. So it's going to be very interesting to see what this quarterly is. It's really going to tell us what's going on here. But all in all, these quarterlies would have to be extremely devastating for Big Bear to really fall off a cliff here. And with all these new deals that we've seen take place here, I don't believe that's possible. I don't think I should be embarrassed to say that. I think we all look at that and we all go, yeah, Big Bear's got a lot of deals here. There should be something that is pretty aggressive here on these quarterlies. So, we're investors. We're looking for clues. We're looking for signs. What are we about to see here? How many people, if you've been in the market for a few seasons now, there's times in your career with trading, with being in the market, that you had to take chances, you had to take risk. And a lot of those risks came off of, following clues. And Big Bear here, this is a perfect example of investing into a company where you're looking for clues, where you're looking for, I really think this company is obviously, moving in the right direction. So, that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. I do think that they could show some significant gains here. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to what we see here Monday. But, Palantir. So let's talk about Palantir. I have said so much jabber about Palantir here lately. Obviously, the big news is, Michael Burry, going up against Palantir, NVIDIA. It doesn't put fear into me where I run away here. I really don't. I'm just going to be completely transparent with you, 100%. I have been here since $7-10 stages of Palantir. Okay. I have seen, and if you have too, you have seen a lot of moments like this with Palantir. We've been through a lot of moments with, the hype in the frustration with people towards us that, I even have friends who every time Palantir comes out with a great quarterly and the stock runs up to crazy prices, I have a couple buddies who are like, you're going to sell now, aren't you? And I have a few buddies that are still sitting in it with me, but there's that peer pressure of like, when you hear like, oh, it's going to sell off. It can't, it's too expensive. It can't maintain these prices. I think it can, and I think it can go higher. Now, how we get there from this point on. Now, this is where where I kind of draw the line in the sand, and I go, I'm just kind of the spectator at this point. Okay, with this right now, I $100, $200. Those are predictions that I had personally for Palantir. I was very confident saying $100. That was pretty obvious where we were going. $100 with an AI stock moving with the progression of Palantir is really nothing. We've seen that time and time again through the history of AI stocks, especially the last few years, okay? $200, we've seen that too. I mean, Oracle just the last 3-4 years has had a spectacular run. Okay, now Palantir here is kind of defeating a lot of odds too. The two problems that are occurring with Palantir right now are the mass going, well, this is ridiculous. It just can't. It just can't. People are going to get creamed in this. Okay, well, those people have been here since $50. They've been here since $100. They've been here since $150. They've been here since it was, $200, a few hours ago. Until Palantir starts to lighten up on these quarterlies, I don't think any of us are going anywhere. How crazy would it be to sell now, especially with Palantir coming out with this quarterly 63% off top of the last one? The next quarterly that they've already said they're projected to do even bigger numbers. They showed us the numbers for almost 1.5. It could be that too. That's the thing. We don't know. Palantir, they showed us a projection what they think it could be. Okay? But it could be more if they get more deals just in this short time span right now, okay? In November, December, even the beginning of January. Okay, Palantir is famous for getting deals off the the bottom end of a quarterly, okay? They've done it plenty. They did it Q1, Q2. They've done it. So those deals are still out there. And deals are coming no matter what. This company is still going to be finding revenue. It's obvious what's going on right now. I say this to myself right now. Why would I sell this stock when I know what the market's doing right now? We're not in a bear market. We're in a little bit of a hold right now, but this market, we've been here before. That's what we've been here. How many times have we been here in these little pockets of red where everybody's like, okay, and then slowly, and boom, something gets said in the market, bam, here we go. Now, when we've got people out there like Tom Lee and all these analysts going, yeah, we're pretty confident the S&P 500 is going to close over 7,000 points this year. I'm gonna believe into that, because they've been right here, a lot here. So I look at Palantir and I go, well, by Q4 to wrap up the year, maybe. I know people are willing to pay $213, $215 for Palantir because they were doing it Monday. They were doing it Friday. I know they're going to pay that. They're paying 180s right now. They'll pay 190. If they'll pay the 190s, they'll pay in the 200s. If they pay in the 200s and they pay at 215, I bet they'll pay at 220 and 230. I definitely think there is an argument to say here that people will pay high prices if they're not doing it right now in the next days, weeks, months with Palantir leading up further we get into whatever the next bull run is, next push in the market into with the next round of quarterlies that will be coming out with Q4. Imagine if Palantir comes out with $1.5 billion quarterlies. You want to talk about, oh my God, when I talked about those two problems, the two problems is essentially the price is going up too high to where it's driving the bears crazy, and they're pressuring people to sell. They want you to sell. They want you to sell your shares so bad. If you do, well, that's your decision. That's fine. Who am I? I'm just here talking. We're just talking. Okay. The next problem with that is, well, what if I do sell? What if the stock keeps going up? What if they do come out with an even bigger quarterly than what they're projecting now? What if next week they get some kind of major deal? These are things that keep happening with Palantir. That is what is driving the mass crazy that is so doubtful with Palantir right now. They've been here since 20, 50, 100. Palantir keeps getting deals. Palantir keeps beating revenue beyond what it's supposed to beat. I get that not everyone likes Palantir. I get that not everyone likes Alex Karp. I get that. But I will say this. I wish we had an Alex Karp for a lot of our companies that we invest in. I wish we had more CEOs that were outspoken about their company, not in the sense of their own personal beliefs, but just in the sense of talk about what your company's doing. Talk about where they're wanting to go. Be excited, for God's sakes. Be happy to talk about your company and the business. That is such a big thing. Like I said before, if you spend seasons in the market, you will see this where good companies will have good CEOs that will talk out loud to investors and just give reassurance, guidance. Because if I'm buying a $200 share of a company, I want to know what am I buying into here? What is this? What is the longevity of this? So I think there's a huge argument to say that Palantir, yes, will go back over $200 here before we know it. As long as the market continues to push up here into this next, whatever this next run looks like. Obviously, this Michael Burry stuff is a dark cloud over Palantir, but I think this black cloud can be broken 100%. I think the sunshine can break out here again. Michael has done this stuff before. He did this to Tesla in the past. It did not last long. So we'll see what happens here, and that's why Alex Karp, when he was talking here this week, he was so PO'd, because he knows who Michael is. We all know who Michael is, and when Michael says something like that, that is a target on your back right there. I mean, it's literally a target. So it's obviously done a little bit of damage to the stock here. I fully believe that if Michael did not come out with that projection, Palantir would have sold down probably to 200 to 205, something like that, maybe even high 290s. But obviously, it's people took profit, the market's down, and this Michael news was like just another kick down the road. But I'm gonna be honest with you, even if this is the low for Palantir, holy smokes! So you're telling me the worst, the lowest I can get Palantir right now is a high 180? That's insane. That's insane. That's crazy. So yeah, friends, be excited, man. Be excited. This is such a time to be in the market, such a time to be an investor. Anyone can do this. I'm telling you, man, anyone can do this. Not only do we have individual hot stocks right now, we have a bunch of ETFs that are just doing amazing. That granny shot ETF of Tom Lee's, I've talked about that time and time again, but man, if you look at that thing, there's no dividends attached to it, but if you look at that and what is attached to that ETF, it is packed full of gold bars, and it's going to continue to do well too. essentially probably every stock you invest in, it's probably in there. So I don't know why I just say that because I think it's such an undervalued situation. I think like 2-3 years from now, people are going to look at that and go like, oh my God, why did I not get a part? Why did I not start buying into that? It's going to get crazy. Friends, I want to wish all of you the best of luck. Take care of yourself. I will talk to you soon. I'm excited about these last 2 days of the market. I'm hoping that the market can kind of show some blood here, recover a little bit, get things rolling. But yeah, it may take another week or two to get this market back. We'll see what happens. But friends, bye-bye. Take care.